Like sands through the hourglass of time, so are the space weather of our lives. And we are looking at the colored magnetogram here. As we've seen some umbra grow up, former Sunspot 2744 has briefly turned back into a sunspot. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Look at the intensity gram here. You're going to see some umbrae form. A little hard to see right there above my pointer. You can see those little tiny dark spots form and then evaporate shortly afterwards. We're looking at only 8.5 hours here of solar activity. And we're going to look at 304 angstroms also, as well as 171 angstroms. Get as in deep of an analysis of that as we possibly can. There are some plasma filaments associated with that. We'll look at those also in a moment. I would also note a small crown prominence down here in the South Pole. All right, let's bring up 171 angstroms and go through the rest of the daily space weather. Anyway, there's the close-up of former Sunspot 2744. Little tiny bit of activity there. Not going to get renamed unless those umbra stay in place for a longer period of time. All right, let's move on to some more stuff here, such as the GOES X-ray imager featured in yesterday's thumbnail. And not exactly sure what's going on with that one. If anybody's got an explanation for it, please leave a comment. Maybe Luke Skywalker is up there with a green lightsaber, which is emitting X-rays right in front of the GOES X-ray imager. Let us know if you see Luke Skywalker hanging around the GOES 15. Real-time solar wind. Solar wind speed remains elevated at 529 protons, 529 kilometers per second. Solar wind density extremely low, less than 1/2 a proton per cubic centimeter at 0.42. Phi angle currently at around 135 degrees. Here's a location of things like planets in the solar system. Actually, that's where they are, since it's the 11th. And we'll advance this 1 week for our regular viewers. There's where things will be in 1 week. And no, the sun will not be on Mercury's orbit. If you're interested in what's going on above your head, as I typically am, check out in-the-sky.org. Make yourself a custom sky chart. We're going to skip the electron content and go straight to magnetosphere movies, as we have an extremely diffuse solar wind. And we're hoping that will play. There we go. Anyway, there's the density. See that very low density solar wind coming in from the left of the screen. Here's pressure. We're going to see a continued higher pressure in the magnetotail side as opposed to the bow shock side. In other words, the planet's discharging due to a low density solar wind, folks. Welcome to the solar wind. It's super weak. It's solar minimum, 10.7 centimeter radial flux, still at 68, up from a few days ago. We'll look at magnetic perturbations here. Here's the global scale. as we see significant fluctuations in the solar wind expressed immediately in this 4 hours of magnetic perturbations, changes in the Earth's B field. Significant stuff going on there. Let's look at it from the polar view, where you're going to see spirals of perturbations over the poles as Birkeland currents pass right through the planet. And some of those effects pass right through your head. Anyway, there's a view from the poles. And let's move on. Links to this whiteboard diagram are in the description below the video, talking about Birkeland currents, solar wind, co-rotations, and so on. Feel free to put your input in. Thank you, patrons. If you're not a patron yet, please become one. The only tier is $1 a month, and you'll get some exclusive content that way. And if you want to find other ways to support the channel, please visit links in the description, such as the Hemp Lucid Spaced Out campaign, specifically for our spaced out viewers. If you're interested in buying CBDs, please do it through our affiliate links and help to support our channel and ensure that these videos keep coming out every single day. Also visit our cycling sponsor, theveloshop.net, located at 5412 Shimerville Road in Emmaus, PA. If you don't have a bike, buy yourself one. And if you need to resurrect your bike, well, what do you need? You need tires and tubes? All right, well, they got that. We got that. And yeah, how about the Continental Gator Skin? One of the ultimate prepping tires, which contains a Kevlar sheath that goes all the way to the bead. It doesn't just cover the tread, it also covers the sidewall. One of the most legendary anti-flat tires in the world, the Continental Gator Skin, available at theveloshop.net. Again, let me remind folks that the only tier we have on Patreon is $1. Become our 9th patron. Also visit links in the description to the original music often featured on the videos. Not the Scooby-Doo theme song. 2 music links there, all original music. And let's go over cosmic rays. First, we'll look at Evaporates in Barentsburg. There's the situation at Evaporates. There's Barentsburg. Next, we'll go to Athens. And there is the Grecian neutron monitor. Next, we'll take a look at Mexico City. There's Mexico City. Next, Moscow. There's Moscow. And lastly, Oulu and DOMC and DOMB Antarctica monitors. There's Oulu, Finland. Looks like an uptick there in the past half an hour. Just while I'm doing show prep, Oulu gets hit with cosmic rays. Here's DOMC Antarctica, and there's DOMB Antarctica. Links to this cosmic ray station site in the description. Check out the red sprites over Italy, featured on spaceweather.com. If you're not familiar with what comes out of the top of a thunderstorm, well, sometimes that's what comes out of the top of a thunderstorm, red sprites. Mesospheric light. Next, we'll check out spaceweathernews.com. And we see tiny striations in the X-ray flux here. Nothing to write home about. Not reaching into the B-class flare range. We'll look at the ACE real quick. It's the last 3 days of the ACE solar wind. As we see very low density and a remaining elevated speed. As the coronal hole wind stream continues, it's very diffuse. And heading back to spaceweathernews.com, pretty wild spikes in the GOES magnetometer as a result. as a result of incoming plasma at a very high speed. KP index has settled down to 2. And the electron flux has popped back up to more normal levels here throughout the night last night. In fact, it actually reached pretty high levels, and now it's in the process of dropping back down. We have some minor charging hazards here, and something is wrong. I didn't think it looked right. All right, there we go. All right. So it looks like the GOES electron flux, we're not expecting this to drop down super low today with the solar wind density as low as it is, but we see the same charging hazards we saw yesterday, minor ones over Northern South America, Central America, and Mexico. F2 layer is extremely discharged on the nighttime side and pretty normal on the daytime side. Aurora forecasts are going to be light to moderate, light more like. There's the Aurora forecast, surprisingly significant, must be a result of the high speed, certainly not the low density. And there's the Australis, Aurora Australis. Next, we're going to look at Gong 2. We're going to use the line of sight ecliptic field plane plot first. Now, the blue line here indicates the average field. That's the sun's B field. And the green is the solar polar north pole associated portion of the current sheet, and the red is the south pole associated portion of the current sheet. As the sun's Z fields keep the current sheet polarized. And we'll go back to the top view ecliptic plane field plot. Again, the striations in the GOES magnetometer are due to plasma streams, not direct interactions with the corona or anything like that. Follow us on other social media. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you won't see lovely photos like this. And you'll see some stuff that has nothing to do with space weather on here too, if you like. So follow me there. Also, we are on Twitter. I don't particularly tweet, so we do put that out there to help our viewers share the videos on social media. As we know, some folks only use Twitter. Also, check out facebook.com/smAsho if you can wade through the quagmire of software on their servers. Also on Gab. As well as on minds.com. That's minds.com/smAsho, the open source social media that will not censor you. It will not shadow ban you. It will not deperson you for your political beliefs. Approaching 500,000 views in a very slow slog as summer rolls on. 467,000 views. smashomash.com/minds. And please press like and subscribe and notification bell if you enjoy our content on YouTube. There is some exclusive content here, so please subscribe. I don't know what else to tell you. If you don't like the content, then don't. Earthquake rundown. Here's a 4.5 in Indonesia. Here's a 4.7 in Tonga. How about a 4.3 in Iraq as the Middle Eastern quakes continue at least once a week, more like 3 or 4 times a week. California continues to get hit with thousands of aftershocks following that 7+ magnitude quake, leaving large portions of the state in complete disarray. How about a 5.0 in Russia? South of Kamchatka, northeast of Taiwan. Here's a 4.4 in Chile, very close to the coastline, it looks like. 4.9, South Sandwich Islands, a very far south quake. That one at depth also. I'd say heads up for a larger quake at the surface, but there's probably nobody there. Let's take a look. Super desolate location there, South Sandwich Islands. Please leave a comment if you've gone on vacation to the South Sandwich Islands. Anyway, there's a location of that. And let's get back to the list here. If clicks will register. All right, clicks registered. Wow. There are a lot of quakes, and they're all hitting California. We're going to try to get through these. Here's a 4.1 up on a mountain 300 meters above sea level, depth negative 0.3 kilometers. Here's a 5.1 at the Pacific Antarctic Ridge, another very far south quake out in the middle of the Pacific, another incredibly desolate region. 4.2 at California as the aftershocks continue. Here's a 4.5 at Japan, 4.4 in Indonesia, 5.2 at north of Ascension Island off the west coast of Africa. 4.7 at Argentina. That one is at depth also as the earthquake risk there continues. 4.8 at Greece. And here's a 4.5 at California. 4.4 at California. Please leave a comment if you felt any of these quakes. We would be interested in your eyewitness reports and perhaps even feature them on the video later. The next video or perhaps one this afternoon. Here's a 4.4 in Argentina. That 4.4 magnitude quake at 145.5 kilometers depth. 4.9 at Indonesia. 4.3 at California as the aftershocks continue day in and day out, day and night constantly. 4.6 at the Philippines. Another 4.0 at California. This one 1,500 meters above sea level. Let's take a look at that one. Right near the northwest corner of the Naval Air Warfare Weapons China Lake Test Range. That quake occurring not at the surface, but well above the surface. Looks like some kind of a plateau. And there's no way I'm going to find my place again. There we are. Also a 4.4 at Japan and a 4.2 at Indonesia at 97.5 kilometers. If you are in an earthquake-prone region, please have an earthquake plan, bug-out bag, have an idea of which buildings may crumble, and be an asset instead of a liability in the event of a disaster. If you're wondering who the cavalry is, you're the cavalry. Earthquake rundown. What do we see? We see Sanjiang Api still exploding and producing a 10,000-foot ash plume. Tukono exploding, 7,000-foot ash plume there. Popocatépetl, wondering if the volcanic ash emissions have dispersed. Apparently some clouds on the satellite image. Revenador, 16,000-foot ash plume there via some explosive activity. And as Sabancaya continues to explode and produce a 24,000-foot ash plume, please do not fly your homemade kit helicopter over the caldera. U.S. Doppler radar indicating some severe storms over the Texas stovepipe and into Oklahoma. Please leave a comment if you're hiding in a root cellar right now. You got a lot of lightning coming out of the Gulf of Mexico. And if you are in these extremely desolate regions here in Oklahoma, heads up, it's pretty thundery. Clinton, Oklahoma, there's thunder rolling in. Anyway, check out lightningmaps.org. Next time you hear thunder, you'll be amazed. Now, I want to go into some atmospheric physics real quick here, the way tropical systems operate. So we are looking at the surface winds here over the Gulf of Mexico. Now you can see where that low is located right around here. And the winds are rotating counterclockwise. I'm going to let that play for a couple seconds here to allow this to sink in. As you're looking at part of a Birkeland current here, folks. Now, there's your clockwise rotation. Now, I want to show you something very interesting. When we go up to the high level winds, flight level 45,000, 13.5 kilometers altitude, what do you see? Well, you see a clockwise rotation. And why is that? Well, that's because of electrical circuitry. Tropical systems are a node on an electric circuit. And there will be a point where you see the counterclockwise rotation just turn into a clockwise rotation. Here it's dissipating, and there you go. Flight level 9,000, you got a stagnant jet stream there. Convective forces are in effect. Let's look at this from another view here. The view of Andrew Hall.
Independent loops of thunderstorms maintain their form but have organized together, creating loops within loops, vortices within vortices.
Now, he's going to go over some extreme stuff here because he understands the actual atmospheric physics. Ring currents, nature's storm generators. So I'm going to play another clip here. There are links in the description to this video also by Andrew Hall on the Thunderbolts project.
Fractal repetition of form. In fact, thunderstorm cells interact as loop currents all the time, even when not part of a larger cyclonic system. One storm cell can arch its anvil cloud over another and suck the life out of it by absorbing its energy.
Anyway, watch the video if you don't understand atmospheric physics, as most people don't understand atmospheric physics. Anyway, let's look at this situation here over the Gulf. We're gonna just zoom right on that area. I'm going to show you the water vapor view as well as the shortwave radiation view. So here's the water vapor map, thanks to the NASA GOES interactive weather satellite. There's that, complete with time and date. And it looks like that low is pulling things toward the southeast right now, but it's going to hit a wall very quickly as this dry air is going to act like a wall, a barrier. It's going to pile up right in that region. At that point, convective forces are going to allow it to build with all this warm air in the Gulf. Here's a shortwave animation. Since it's dark there, we can't use the visible satellite. And this system is big enough to be pulling a lot of weather toward it from all different directions, especially due to the no jet stream. Let's do one more quick view here over the Texas stovepipe area where that big storm's hitting. There's what the clouds are doing. And here's the water vapor situation. If anybody's watching from there, perhaps this will help you be able to predict the weather. We're hoping. And we will be doing more meteorological training sessions, more meteorological training sessions in the future. Teaching folks how to predict weather and how to differentiate their ass from a hole in the ground. Speaking of which, here's an article authored by somebody who does not have any clue the distinction. Tour de France pelotons governed by sight, not aerodynamics. Incorrect. Cycling pelotons are not governed by sight, and this study has wasted not only taxpayer dollars, but also tuition dollars. Oh yeah, you bet your bottom dollar. Actually, don't bet any dollars, because the Naval Undersea Warfare Center set out to unravel the fluid-like behavior of the peloton. The dumbest story I've read in quite a while here is suggesting that, check this out. Truscott's team found that group structures near the end of a race as the peloton shape elongates. The structures change near the end of the race as a peloton's shape elongates, suggesting a narrowing of the field of vision as the race speeds up. Not true. As the rider's heart rate increases, their field of vision narrows due to physiological restrictions of the human body. Not true. This decreases the field of perception, which leads to a stretching out of the peloton. Not true, based on an inconsistent premise. According to the study, these arousal-dependent neurological effects set the local arrangement of cyclists, the mechanisms of interaction, and the implicit communication across the group of cyclists. Incorrect. The reason that a race strings out at the end is because we're going too fast in order to bunch up and form a peloton. That's why a race always strings out. This study is idiotic. So we recommend you don't read it, but we left links in the description anyway, in case you feel like losing an IQ point. Let's talk about fiduciary responsibility. Google, Facebook, Apple, and Twitter are completely shirking their
fiduciary
responsibilities to their shareholders. These are all publicly traded companies. So if you own their stock and you find yourself confident or trusting of those four tech giants, I don't know what to tell you, but you should probably watch more of our videos. Anyway, as far as depending on public confidence or value for currency, those four companies have zero. So anyway, here's a message to big tech. I've been saying it quite a lot lately. Dear big tech, you can't break the internet, but it can break you, and it's going to. Phys.org article. Oh, sorry, Cosmos magazine article. The oldest known human in Europe, at least 210,000 years old. A lot of people think the human race is 40,000 years old, but it's obviously at least hundreds of thousands of years old. This article, super interesting. They found in a cave Neanderthal skull near this skull, and it's not a Neanderthal, it's a quote human, end quote. By the way, if you're wondering, humans and Neanderthals are the same species, otherwise they wouldn't have been able to interbreed. And being able to interbreed and produce fertile offspring is the definition of a species. If you've ever taken a biology class, you'd know this. Anyway, links to this article in the description as well. We are about ready to be out of here. We're going to show you one more view of the sun, and then we're going to exit stage. It is stage left. Here's a 193 angstroms view. And I'm going to get through the chat here, believe it or not. I apologize for the low levels of interaction today, folks, but we're trying to get through the video. Anyway, we see coronal holes around that active region, a whole series of them. This is 8.5 hours of the sun in 193 angstroms. I would note the South Pole coronal hole has shrunk, and the North Pole coronal hole has grown to massive proportions. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks for leaving a comment. We appreciate that. And bear with us just one moment. I'm going to get through the rest of the comments here. Polar Bear, I'm actually not a night shifter. I work the very early shift. That's why I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning every day. It allows me to get off early also. Thanks doesn't matter for commenting about the quake. All right, thanks again for tuning in, everybody. It's about time to call it a day. So remember, when you're staring at the sun, not to drink, and if you drink, stare at the sun anyway. Just don't drive. And if you weren't aware, it'll never be now again. So may the solar wind be at your back and the atherosclerosis absent from your veins.